All right, I think that is the sign that it is time to start tonight's events. Good evening to everyone in attendance. I am Kelly Jones. I'm your host for the evening, and it's already been a great night so far. I'm finally at the age where I can walk around, and about half of the crowd here are former students of mine. So it's been nice to see so many familiar faces here tonight. And we really want to thank all of you for taking time out of your schedules to support Denham Springs High School and our Hall of Fame. Since Denham Springs High School was founded in 1897, Jacket fans have been blessed with many outstanding athletes, coaches, and loyal supporters. Through the years, our school has produced 6 high school All-Americans, an Olympian, and also an NFL team president. We are proud of our sports heroes who grew up in this community, that are honed their athletic skills on our local soil, even coached by some of you in this room tonight. So it is indeed a pleasure to honor the class of 2024-2025, the 14th class to be enshrined into our Hall of Fame. As a reminder, this is a combined class. We're combining the induction for the election cycles of both 2024 and 2025 tonight. We'd like to take a moment to recognize some VIPs that are in attendance tonight. If you would, please stand for recognition as your name is called, and sincerely hope we don't forget anyone or overlook anyone. We'll do our best. First, the Honorable Jeff Hughes. Jeff, Louisiana Supreme Court Justice. We also have in attendance with us tonight Mr. Cecil Harris, Livingston Parish School Board member. Mr. Bradley Harris, Livingston Parish School Board member. Mr. Jeff Frizzell, Livingston Parish School Board member. Mr. Wesley Howard, principal of Denham Springs High School. And we could not go through the VIP list without recognizing Mr. Buddy Mincy, former president of Livingston Parish School Board. Mr. Buddy. He was my school board president, so I can't forget Buddy there. But again, thank all of you for being in attendance with us tonight. You're such an important part of Denham Springs High School, and we look forward to a great evening with all of you here. The next thing we are especially pleased by a great turnout from our past Hall of Fame classes. They have come to welcome the class of 2024-2025 into this elite club. So we would ask, as I go through and call out members that have been enshrined into the Hall of Fame, if that person or their representative would stand to be recognized, and we'll recognize one class at a time. We'll start with the class of 2011, Mr. Cecil Harris. Also, Mr. Grady Hornsby, represented tonight by Miss Elizabeth Smith. Mr. Ben McDonald. Yes, thank you, Mr. McDonald, being with us. Drexel Robinson. There's Drexel in the back, and also Mr. Butch Wax. The class of 2012 members in attendance. Colin Beasley is representing Mr. Jim Beasley. Also, Miss Kathy DeGeneres, representing Mr. Lloyd DeGeneres, and Mr. Les O'Neill from the class of 2012. For the class of 2013, got the lone member here tonight, the Lone Ranger, Dr. Michael Sceroler, in attendance in the class of 2013. We'll skip ahead to the class of 2015 with Mr. Harvey Armstrong. Mr. Bradley Harris. And Mr. Roy Zachary. For the class of 2016, Susan Williams Chambliss. And also Mr. Van Foster Jr. For the class of 2017, Miss Robbie Allen Spangler. The class of 2018, retired Colonel Jim Spring, in the back, and also Jimmy Tullis. The class of 2019, Mr. Robert Graves. From the class of 2021, Jenny Reeves. The class of 2022, Natalie Landry. The class of 2023, Catherine Spangler. And also Russell Sanchez. Did I miss any of our Hall of Famers in attendance tonight? If I did, please stand at this time. With our ticket sales going online this year, it was a little more difficult to keep up with who was buying tickets, who would be in attendance. So we were hoping that we would get everybody. Again, we appreciate all of our Hall of Famers that come out to support the new class going in. You're such an important part of what we do at Denham Springs High School. At this time, I'm going to introduce Mr. Mike DeMaria. Mr. Mike is the area director of our local Fellowship of Christian Athletes chapter. He's now in his 11th year leading this outstanding organization. FCA huddle groups are present on 24 of our school campuses in Livingston Parish, reaching coaches, athletes, and students. Mike is going to come forward to lead us in a brief remembrance and also the invocation.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, of the 93 sports figures who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame thus far, 29 have left us too soon. All sons and daughters of Denham Springs. Would you please rise and join me in honoring the memory of these Hall of Famers who were all mighty Yellow Jackets? Dwayne Beetle Bailey. Bert Barnett. Jim Beasley. Celeste Gully Callender. Lewis Carlisle. Joey Schutz. J.W. Pee Wee Day. Mr. Lloyd DeGeneres. Tony Dugas. Sid Garrison. Larry Glover. Raymond Harris. Lancey Hill. Donald Ray Hood. Grady Hornsby. Dr. Milton Hughes. Brother Bob Ingalls. Eddie Joe Jones. Jim Kemp. Alton Leggett. Leslie McDowell. Robert Rue. Randy Rushing. A.E. Sutton. Lathan Sutton. Reverend Michael Talbert, excuse me. Dr. David Thibodeau. Roger West. Mr. Rex Wilkinson. All were good friends of this community who gave as much pride through the lives they lived. Would you join me now as we pray? Our most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we bow before you. We want to honor you before we honor men. We honor you as the God and creator of all things. We honor you as the one who has created us and given us the gifts that we have. We honor you tonight, first and foremost. And we thank you for this evening, this gathering, and these inductees and the families and all who make this event possible. Father, we thank you. We thank you for our community, for our state, and for our nation. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. You may be seated. Oh.
Right behind you.
Stuck them on, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. At this time, I am honored to call Mr. Wes Howard to the podium. Over the years, Mr. Howard has served Denham Springs High School in a variety of capacities as a teacher, band director, assistant principal, and he has served as principal of our school since 2019. Mr. Howard?
Thank you very much. It's my honor to be here today representing Denham Springs High School to recognize those who contributed so much to our community and our students in our school. We all love what happens at Denham Springs High School, the athletic events that we have and the opportunities that we provide for our children, but that stuff doesn't run on love, it runs on money. And you guys, we want to extend a gracious thank you to those who have donated and contributed to programs such as this and to Denham Springs Athletic Association. We'd like to thank our title sponsors and plaque sponsors shown on the video screens, as well as Livingston Parish News and Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill, the home of the Hall of Fame. He also likes to invite fans to enjoy a great meal and visit the Hall of Fame display at Big Mike's. Shameless plug, you deserve it. But join me in giving them a big round of applause and thanking them for their service and dedication to our cause.
Thank you, Mr. Howard. At this time, I would ask for our 5 inductees who will be inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight, if you would please move to the rear of the room and gather in the foyer to prepare for tonight's introductions. It is my honor to introduce the title sponsor of our Hall of Fame. We had a lot of people ask tonight if Travis would be provided, and I told that was a one-time deal. And I said, okay, that's good. Nah, man, as long as we have Dr. Ed here, we're good to go. Dr. Ed Hood is a 1977 Denham Springs High School graduate and a 1985 graduate of the LSU School of Dentistry. He was an all-district baseball pitcher for the Yellow Jackets and later took the mound for the LSU Tigers. And we are humbled that Hood Dental Care is in its 7th year as our Hall of Fame title sponsor, serving our student athletes and community. We thank you, Dr. Hood, and please come forward and say a few words.
Thank you so much, and certainly it's my honor to be considered to even participate as a title sponsor. Denham Springs has meant so much to me. Born and raised here. A lot of those people that you saw in there, I'm related to a lot of them. There's a lot in here that I'm related to, and it's you don't have small town community feels much anymore. And so I think what we have here is special. We always talk about how much we should be grateful for the things that we have here that are not common everywhere. So I'm super thankful for that. I just wanted to share a couple of things tonight. I could have let Travis talk. I promised Hunter I wouldn't say much. But there's so much going on in our world today. It's a little crazy. And I heard something this week. You've all heard the Charlie Kirk effect, everything on the news, regardless of which side of the aisle, a human being that was taken from us way too early. But that Charlie Kirk effect, I was listening to a video, and somebody said they had seen a bumper sticker that said, "The world is a better place with you in it." And he posed a question, and it's the question that I would pose to you tonight, because it kind of hit me and made me do a lot of reflection. The question was, is it? Is the world a better place because you're in it? I think all of us have to answer that every day. I had my 40-year, and I hate that Kelly had to give all those dates out, but my 40-year dental school class reunion was this past weekend. And anytime you go to a reunion, you first thing you got to go is you're comparing yourself to everybody else and go, man, these suckers look pretty old. I could say the same thing in here, because I'm getting old with these classes in here, a class of 77. I don't even want to figure out what that would be. But it makes you reflect on all the people that have had an impact in your life. And I think that's one of the things that this talks about. Is the world a better place with you in it? Who are you impacting. I have the privilege now, we currently have 5 locations, 13, 14 dentists with me. They don't even consider me a dentist anymore, which is really kind of painful. I kind of got forced out to some degree. I have associates, and it wasn't enough patients to go around, so they just kind of pushed me out of the door. So that's really where I am. I'm getting to do some stuff that I love to do, pro bono stuff for people that deserve it, that can't afford it, that it gives you satisfaction to be able to give back, just like this. And so I've been super blessed in all the things I've been able to do in my career. But through that reflection this past weekend, and through this comment that I heard about Charlie Kirk, it really makes you start to think about. I read a book, Halftime. Some of you may, and it's certainly applicable to tonight at being an athletic Hall of Fame, and congratulations to all the inductees too, by the way. It's really awesome. I have so much respect for all the people that have come through here. The tireless amount of work and effort and sacrifice that it takes to do things at a high level is quite impressive. And but in this book, Halftime, it talks about going from success to significance. Some of you are young. Some of you have passed that success, because success is about us. It would be about me. How did I take care of my family? How did I provide? Significance is something completely different. And in my journey now, it's a quest for significance. It's not about how much money you made, not about how much did you pay for your family, anything that you have. It's what impact do you leave on the people that you get to touch every day. And so for me now, I get to mentor younger doctors out of school. And it kind of takes me back, because I think about all the people, some of who are in this room, who have had a major impact on my life. And I love the concept of folding time. And so what I get to do on a day-to-day basis now is to fold time for people who are looking up to you, who you get to mentor. And so in that question of who are you impacting, who are you having an impact on in a day-to-day world, certainly the coaches, they have impact on people every day, because they're trying to, in the world of athletics, grow leaders, to grow young men to be leaders, to give effort, to give an adequate effort for what you expect to get in return. And so my role every day in getting to mentor doctors, it's certainly different. Leadership is certainly different than a clinical skill, but I enjoy dentistry. I love what I've been blessed to be able to do. A lot of you are patients I've seen over the years, and so to be able to give back to through this Hall of Fame, through being a title sponsor, it has been a great pleasure. I tell Coach Beer all the time, like, if it's possible and you need something, let me know, because I still remember being in Key Club in school and going to different businesses and soliciting donations. We get those on pretty much a daily basis, but it's really a privilege to be able to do that. There's a book also called Who Not How, and it's about if you're trying to accomplish something and you want to do great things, sometimes it's not about trying to figure it out on your own. It's finding out who's already done that, plugging into that person, siphoning off of them the skill set, the intellect, the knowledge of their lived experience. And one of the things I want the class to really think about and to honor tonight is their lived experience. Somebody told me one time, never underestimate the power of your lived experience, because we all have a different data set of things that we've had to endure, things that we've experienced in our life. And the Lord allows us to go through those things. He allows that data set so that we can use it to influence and impact other people. And certainly all the teachers and coaches that have impacted my life, now I get to pay it forward, and I get to do that with younger doctors. And so it's a really cool experience. But if you go back to the quote, hopefully all of us can say, well, I don't know, is the world a better place because I'm in it? It sounds almost egotistical to say that. But certainly we know God has a purpose for all of us. The thing that we're able to see in the life of Charlie Kirk, and more importantly in his death, is, oh my gosh, what an impact he's having, even in his death, on people who don't even know him. I hope to have that kind of impact. I hope that one day all the dentists I've gotten to help influence, all the people that I've been able to share my experience, those lived experiences, some of them pretty difficult, some of them joyous. But hopefully you are imparting in other people around you so that you can say, is the world a better place with me in it? And the answer would be absolutely. God can do anything through us. And with him guiding us, certainly we're going to make an impact so that this world is a greater place. And hopefully in our country, we're on that path. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hood. Representing the Denham Springs High School Athletic Association is Laura Dunlap. Ms. Dunlap is a 1996 graduate of Denham Springs High School and principal of 7th Ward Elementary. She's a fierce Yellow Jacket fan and currently serving in her 6th year as president of Denham Springs Athletic Association. Ms. Dunlap?
It is truly an honor to stand among so many greats in the history of our beloved high school. The Athletic Association was formed in 2007 by a group of devoted parents and alumni who wanted to help support all of the now 17 sports across our campus. Since that time, the association has been able to give over $150,000 back to the student athletes. Thanks to your contributions and donations, as well as paying your dues. They're still just $25 per family, and as Julie Jacobson always says, it's the only thing that hasn't gone up in the past 3 years. Actually, way longer than that. But also our golf tournament and this event help us to sponsor scholarships, meals, entry fees, and other things that our student athletes need. We invite you to attend our tailgate. They happen in front of the Hornsby Gym before every home game. And we meet on the 3rd Monday of each month at Big Mike's. Big shout out to him again for hosting those. And please follow us on Facebook and Instagram so you can keep up with all the amazing things that our students are doing. Tonight I want to pause and recognize some of the most dedicated Yellow Jackets I know. The board of the Denham Springs Athletic Association, Laura Booth, Buddy Mincy, Paul Guitro, Jason Harris, Laura Schmidt, Ben Smith, and Julie Jacobson. Their commitment ensures that our athletes have the opportunities that they deserve. Finally, thank you for being here with us tonight and honoring the legacy of our past inductees and welcoming the new class. Your achievements have left an imprint on our community and should never be forgotten.
Thank you, Laura. And at this time, I would ask for all of our Hall of Fame members who are in attendance, if you would please get up and help form our corridor. Again, our Hall of Fame members are representatives that are in attendance. If you would get up and form our corridor for our new inductees to walk through. And Mr. Jim Spring is back there kind of getting you guys lined out. And as soon as we get lined out, we will start introductions for this year's class. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the foyer behind you as we introduce the Denham Springs High School Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2024-2025. Dr. Hunter Bond. Hunter is a 1985 graduate of Denham Springs High School and was a three-sport athlete who starred on the gridiron, stealing 10 career interceptions with 6 as a senior and 3 in one game. Despite those sterling statistics, his star has shone even brighter through 3 decades of devotion and advocacy for the Denham Springs High School sports program. Hunter's financial and moral support have been instrumental in sustaining his beloved alma mater. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Hunter Bond. Next up, we have Josh Lewis. Josh was a 2009 graduate and was actually among the first group of seniors I had an opportunity to give diplomas to. He was my first senior class. Josh is the most celebrated football kicker in school history for his record-breaking 57-yard field goal. He is the only jacket kicker to have broken the 50-yard barrier. A 3-time All-District Choice and a Baton Rouge All-Metro selection, he was a Red Stick Bowl All-Star as well. While at McNeese State, Josh was named to the All-Louisiana and All-Southland Conference team as a kicker in 2010. When Josh was a freshman, that was my first year as assistant principal at Denham Springs High School. And it's funny, I thought about this story on the way over, and whenever I saw him in the foyer, he actually recalled the story and started telling me about it. But I heard we had a kicker with a leg. I mean, he could kick the football. And so I had a spare minute in the office. Butch, you didn't know that I had a spare minute. But I had a spare minute in the office, so I called over to Josh's classroom, and I said, hey, send me Josh Lewis over to the office. So, and when Josh walked in, he's a freshman, and his eyes are like this big around, getting called into the disciplinarian's office. And so he looked scared to death, and I was like, hey man, I heard we had a kicker. I wanted to see what he looked like. And we had a chance to sit there and talk for a minute, and he explained how scared he was whenever I called into the office. But ladies and gentlemen, Josh Lewis. Next up, we have Mike O'Neill. Mike is a 1986 graduate, and his iconic restaurant, Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill, is home to the Denham Springs High School Athletic Hall of Fame and to the Denham Springs Athletic Association. His generosity and also his quiet, behind-the-scenes philanthropy to Denham Springs High School athletic projects and upgrades have set the standard. During the Great Flood of 2016, Mike's fighting spirit, as shown on television's Bar Rescue, was an inspiration to a beleaguered community. Ladies and gentlemen, Big Mike O'Neill. Next up, we have Matt Sceroler. Mac is a 2014 graduate, and Mac Sceroler was a 2-sport jacket star in baseball and football. But it was his pitching talent that earned him collegiate freshman All-American honors at Southeastern Louisiana University, where he was also twice named to the All-Louisiana and All-Southland Conference teams. Mac was a rare 2-time MLB draftee who spent 7 years in professional baseball, making his major league debut with the Baltimore Orioles. And these kids that are in their 30s now, I have stories about them since I was there. I remember the first time, probably the first time I really had a conversation with Mac. Some of you guys will remember out in front of the Hornsby Gym, before it was paved, before it was concreted. Thank you, board members, for getting that done. It stayed a mud pit, and we would be out there trying to get people out. And the the students just love to spin out in the mud and throw mud on the administrators and teachers that were out there. And I thought Mac did it. I thought Mac was the culprit that had spun out and got mud all over me. So I flagged him down and I'm like, dude, what's your problem? And I looked in there, I was like, I think this is a Sceroler. Pretty good chance he wasn't the guy that tried to splash me with the mud. But that was my first time to be able to visit with Mac. Ladies and gentlemen, Mac Sceroler. And finally, we have Randy Watson. Mr. Randy was a 1970 graduate and a celebrated all-state defensive end in football who, at only 165 pounds, Mr. Randy was the smallest lineman selected among the state's best players. His tenure at Denham Springs High School was star-studded, distinguished by a host of honors, the city's outstanding teenager, the all-district team's best lineman, district champion in track, senior class president, and the high honor of being voted Mr. Denham Springs High School. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Randy Watson. And at this time, if I could get the five of you to squeeze together there so we can get one picture, and I can present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the Denham Springs High School Hall of Fame class of 2024-2025. And at this time, we are going to take a short break for dinner, and we will resume shortly so that we can stay on schedule for the night. Thank you. We are going to have the opportunity to view a videotaped interview with each of our inductees. Once the interview is over, we will present the plaque to each of the inductees. We want to thank Mr. Johnny Lombardi for his efforts to video and edit these interviews. These are always the highlight of our evening. So if we could have someone whoever is responsible for dimming the lights and getting ready to move on with the program. We will start with our interview with Dr. Hunter Bond.
So I first became involved in athletics in the early to mid 70s. Back then we had street teams, you know, the kids from the neighborhood had a team and we played the street next to us in baseball, football, whatever it was. And some of the kids noticed that I was a pretty good athlete and they went and talked to my dad and said, man, you need to get this kid involved in some type of athletic program. Mr. Tony was coaching a baseball team sponsored by Cooper's Honda. And I'll never forget, I was probably 6, 7 years old, and back then my glove, I had a plastic glove, had foam in it, it wasn't a real leather glove. So my dad talked to Mr. Tony, brought me out there, probably 6 or 7 years old. I'll never forget, Walt Tedder was on the team, Glenn Glass was on the team. As the years went through, Mr. Bill Curtis sponsored one of our teams one year, and Mr. Ernest Temple. I just remember those guys coaching me early on, got me involved in athletics, and I kind of excelled at sports and just really enjoyed the team and just the coaches, the discipline, everything kind of molded me. I can remember back in the 70s, Friday night lights here in Denham Springs was in full effect. I can remember going to see a lot of the Hall of Fame members that have been inducted. I can remember going and seeing them play. And I'll just name one for instance, Kelvin Robinson. He's just, one of those guys that I used to enjoy, and I can remember being in the backyard when we're playing football. I'm Kelvin Robinson, I'm about to run over you. The town was shut down on Friday night. Everybody would come out to watch football games in the 70s and 80s, and it was just something that was just, the whole community was involved, and it was just a great atmosphere. It was just the whole community, was surrounded around the athletic program, and it just really was kind of home. It was just, something I always wanted to be a part of. Athletics molded me into be a successful doctor through pride and respect, working hard, and the product of doing those things made you a winner. And that was, we won football games because we worked hard at it. The pride of being part of a successful program and the respect that you got from that was just something that was kind of innate in my soul. And just what we had here in Denham Springs, I think, is second to none. And it just really gave me the pride to work hard at everything that I've done in my life. And I'm just so appreciative of what I gained from being part of the program here. Kind of like trickle-down economics is the way I kind of look at it. If we look at LSU, for example, look what happens when LSU has a winning weekend or a winning season. The businesses thrive, the community thrives, the morale is great. So I always wanted to be a supporter of Denham Springs Athletics, to give that pride, sort of a way of saying thank you for what they gave to me and what they instilled in me. So that's the pride that I took in everything that I've supported here at Denham Springs High School in every aspect of whatever their needs was, from the band to the cheerleaders to every sport. Back in the day, it got to the point where we were getting calls once a week for somebody wanting money and this and that, and we always supported everything. So finally got to the point, me and Dr. Sceroler got together, and it's like, we approached the staff, and it's like, hey, look, let me just write you one big check and let go to everybody, yearbook, everything else, and that way don't mind being inundated by calls and doing the support. I said, let's just make it easier and streamline it. And that's probably been going on for, over 15, maybe 20 years now. The pride and being part of a successful program has been my motivation to support Denham Springs Athletics. And again, when you have a winning program, the businesses do better, the morale is better, the faculty and staff and coaches and student body, it's just a whole morale booster to be part of a successful program, and that's why the pride in me being a supporter of everything. And all it takes is one or two good seasons, and then everybody's going to want to be part of it. The morale of the student body, the coaches, the teachers, the community, it was just a fantastic part to be a part of. And I want to see that back, and I think we're this close to being there. Or the new facilities, they're just second to none. I'm just so proud of being part of this, and now we have just the facilities to support what's to come in the future, and I think we're really, really close, and a testament for the commitment from the community and those people who love to be part of Denham Springs High School. And again, I think it's going to take us to the next level where we all want it to be. And ask the coaches, hey, what can I do for you to help your success? They're approachable. I mean, they would love to have your help. It may be, hey, I need you to mow the grass, or hang this sign for me. It doesn't have to be monetary. Lastly, I would say attend these athletic events. Show your support by showing up and supporting the team that's whatever sport it is. And if not all of them, just as many as you can. Just show your face that you're not only here, you support them, helping them out with whatever their needs are, or whether it be financially, but just show up to support them and cheer for them. And that means a lot. I think it means a lot that, hey, you're in their corner, and that you're there for them, and that you're there to support the athletic program, and that we're all better off for it. Completely humbled. I just, words can't express the pride that I feel, what your gut and your instincts tell you, to support the community. And I do it out of pride and joy. I don't do it out of trying to get any accolades out of it. I just do it out of the pride and joy and giving back to the community that gave so much to me. And again, I want to thank my parents for instilling me the values of being a good son, being a good husband, and being a good father, being a good steward. I'd like to thank the selection committee. I'm so honored that I've been nominated and selected. I want to thank everybody on the committee that believed in me and voted for me to be inducted into this honorable class of people. I'd like to thank all the faculty who taught me, my coaches that coached me, molded me into the person that I am. That means the most to me, my wife and kids, grandkids. You know, without their support and love, I wouldn't be the man that I am. And I'm just humbled to be sitting here with my old coach, who's always been one of my role models and someone I've always looked up to and admired and tried to emulate.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Hunter Bond. Come on up, Dr. Bond. Dr. Bond, thank you for being such a great friend to Denham Springs High School and also to me through the years when I was there as principal. Appreciate that greatly. Next up, we have Josh Lewis. We'll have his interview.
So I became interested in athletics really early on, as both sides of my family were very involved in sports. They excelled a lot in sports, and growing up you would hear a lot of different stories. I always wanted to live up to the stories that I was told as a child, and that was a really driving factor of how much I loved the sports. I would say I was blessed with many mentors in a lot of different seasons and phases in my life. You know, my father obviously was one that I really looked up to with his achievements and what he was able to accomplish in his athletic career, just in life in general. I think in athletics and in life, you know, hard work, I mean, you can be given God-given ability, but if you don't do anything with it, then, I mean, you just wasted it, you know. My father was definitely, he had the ability to be able to kind of get in there with me, you know, as far as like, so whenever I first started kicking, of course he was absolutely elated, but you know, you can't sleep on Dad, because he would actually get up there and kick with me, and there was a few times that whenever we're practicing during the summers, getting ready for, you know, the season at Denham Springs, he would rip a couple just to prove a point, and it kind of put me in my place, you know, and so I was like, oh, okay, so that's what it looks like, and that was fun. I started playing soccer very early. I want to say I was around 6 to 7 years old whenever I first started playing soccer, and you know, I played in the kind of like the recreational leagues around here, and I was able to kind of move on. But my transition into football actually happened from another Wax member, Brian Wax, and I was in his 9th grade health class. And day one, he had everybody write a paper about themselves because he wanted to know who was in the class and learn about them. You know, I wrote about my dad, how I played soccer. You know, he played football at LSU, and you know, he pulled me off to the side the next day and was like, hey, you know, if you thought about, you know, coming out and trying out, you know, I was reading about, you know, your dad and everything like that. And I, you know, just was honest with him, and no, I haven't thought about it at all, ever. You know, he had a few more conversations with me, and, you know, brought Coach Nettles at the time. Coach Nettles was the head coach, and brought him into the mix, and we had a conversation. And I remember there was one day they brought me out to the field. Coach Nettles brought out some tees and some footballs, and you know, I hit like 2 or 3 balls, and I think Coach said, what was it? He said, that'll do. So after that, I started playing, and yeah, I never looked back. You know, at my time in Denham, there's a lot of them that I still think about and reflect on, even outside of this interview. You know, obviously the 57-yard field goal was something special. You know, what I specifically remember about that was Taylor Gyro, who was my holder, picking me up, and Hezzy Washington was on our team, and he, before I hit the ground, Hezzy was in my face. I remember that, and you know, I actually didn't even get to see the ball go in because my O-line was jumping up and down, and I knew I had hit it well, but I didn't realize I had hit it that well. Number 2 was a game-winning field goal at Covington. That was an experience. You know, we hadn't won at Jack Salter Stadium in 22 years at that time. You know, we actually we were coming from behind. I think we had scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. We were down 14-0 going into the fourth quarter. There was a huge punt return to set up. It was just kind of like storyline type stuff, you know. I actually wasn't aware that I had held majority of the kicking records until Mr. Graves had told me about it. And, you know, whenever he did, it felt special because there's a lot of good athletes that come through these halls and have played here. My last season was in 2008, and to know that, hey, you know, since then I'm still in the record books, I think is you know, something that I'm very grateful for. I'm very grateful for the time that I had here to be able to do those things, but also too the people that I had on the team that were able to help put me in that position, you know. I think about the time that we put in after practices. Jonathan Zachary and Taylor Gyro, still remember them to this day about, you know, if I would walk over to them and after a long practice, you know, they played offense, defense, you know, they're ready to go take a shower, go home and everything like that. And I'm like, hey, can I have 15 snaps? You know, and, you know, staying an additional 20, 30 minutes with me to ensure that, hey, our rhythm was down and everything. I thought it was really cool. Earning a scholarship at McNeese was kind of a bit, I mean, like a dream come true kind of thing. You know, I mean, that was always the goal. The reason that I actually chose McNeese was because I feel like whenever I was here, after every single practice, we would do the Lord's Prayer, and then Coach would finish up saying, no one person and no one coach is bigger than the program. That after everybody graduates here and after all these coaches move on, the program is still going to stand and the DS crest is still going to stand. And so everything that we do is tradition and history for the school. That was something that McNeese was very in alignment with. And so that kind of spoke to me, you know. They had a tradition and a culture of winning and accountability. And I think that's what we had here, and that's what I knew. And so that's ultimately the reason that I went to McNeese. I got to play in some beautiful stadiums. I got to play in the Superdome, you know, Tiger Stadium. We actually played at Appalachian State 2 years removed from them beating Michigan, and that was actually my first collegiate field goal, was a game-winning field goal against them. What it means to me to be selected is really just an honor and a blessing to be completely vulnerable. So it means a lot. And you know, here today, you know, I walk into the back, you know, I'm shaking hands with Coach Bork, Coach Ryan, meet Coach Beard, and you know, it was said to me, you're in the hall now, man. You were family before, but you're really family now. And whenever that was said, that hit me different. I would very much like to thank the board for selecting me. It's a great honor. Thank you. I would like to thank my coaches whenever I was here, Coach Nettles for leading that program. I would like to thank all of my teammates at that time. I would like to thank the support system that I had, you know, my family and everything, to be able to put me in the position that I could. I thank my wife and my sons, you know, for helping me be the man that I am and that I need to be. I thank my father and my mother for a lot of the sacrifices that they made in order for me to be able to receive the training or whatever it is that I needed. There's a lot of gratitude that I have reflecting on this experience.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely proud to present to you Josh Lewis. Congratulations, Josh. What an outstanding career. Next up, we have the induction video for Mike O'Neill.
Growing up in Denham Springs, I didn't move here until 1984, even though I was born in Baton Rouge. But my father always spoke of being a Denham Springs Yellow Jacket and the history of the O'Neill family, with my grandfather being mayor. When I moved here, it was all I could think about. The colors were purple and gold, which matched LSU, and then my family's history. So I took a lot of pride, and I was very excited and always wanted to be a Yellow Jacket. I first became involved in athletics at Denham Springs High School my junior year. I went out for the football team. I was new in town, nervous, scared even, but everybody from the coaches to the players welcomed me in. This guy from the West, to be a part of the team, it really helped me transition into the community and into the South. Yeah, so growing up out west, I remember a baseball bat in the backyard hitting rocks because there wasn't a lot of grass in New Mexico and Arizona. But also playing football, throwing it up in the air and catching it myself, thinking I was scoring a touchdown, in the driveway, shooting the basketball, making the last shot. So athletics has always been a huge part of my life, starting in my youth, and to be able to come to Louisiana and to get into a program as big as Denham Springs High School and the history of the football program, and they were one of the elite when I moved here. Again, so excited to be involved in that and to make that team. I closed down my other business and concentrated everything when I was able to open Big Mike's Sports Bar and Grill in 2010. Was because of my family. My grandfather was mayor in the 60s. He developed one of the first subdivisions. I think they said he was judge at one point, mayor at one point, chief of police at one point. The reason I and my family are big supporters of Denham Springs High School, it of course started because I graduated there. My family's history of my family members going there, and my daughters, two of my daughters went there, and just a love for the program. My business bounced around here and there, and I was fortunate to open it in 2010 in Denham Springs, which was a huge thing for me. And the first thing I did was reach out to the high school, and I wanted to be involved. I wanted to, have my sign by the scoreboard and all that. But then once I got involved in all the other sports and just the coaches and their, how thankful they were to help with their programs, we started giving. And then when you give, you receive. And when the community opened their heart and the school, and we kind of became a hub of some of their meetings and coaches meetings and player meetings, and we saw how it was a complete circle, that if we continued to give, we would continue to receive. And as our business grew, which was just a blessing, we affiliated that blessing with us giving to the high school and giving to the community. And so we continue to do it, and it's something that's heartfelt now, and we're so thankful that we are able to continue to be a part of Denham Springs High School by giving them as much help as we can. What I love about it is to see the people, to see friends that I went to school with. I've actually teachers and coaches, and it's kind of a once a month gathering to where you can catch up with some people. When people come in town that might not live here anymore, they'll try to come to the meeting. And it's just a good way to, just a good wholesome way to stay involved. And we take a lot of pride in that meeting, and we're very thankful that the meeting is held at Big Mike's. Having the Hall of Fame at Big Mike's has been tremendous. I love logging onto the camera and checking out the restaurant and looking on the Hall of Fame camera and seeing people in the Hall of Fame taking pictures. You might have a young child standing next to it, and I'm imagining he's standing next to his grandfather's picture or his dad's picture or an uncle's picture. To have the sign on the front of our restaurant and to be affiliated with the Denham Springs Hall of Fame is just something we take a lot of pride in. Again, it connects us not just with the high school, but with the community, which I think it's all connected together. You know, just the, like I say, the friendships that still today, to talk about games, to talk about touchdowns, to talk about other sporting events, baseball state championship. My senior year, it was neat to be in the stands and go through that entire process. Having the business that we're able to help and donate to the school keeps me tied to it. It keeps me feeling like I'm still a part of it and helping out. And I think that, I hope that's something that I feel and am able to do for a very long time. What it means to me to be inducted into the Denham Springs Hall of Fame, I'm not sure I can find the words. When you think of Hall of Fame, you think of athlete. Was not a star athlete by any means. But again, this avenue, this restaurant, this community, this tie that we have with it gave me an avenue to be a part of it, to think that I'm being recognized for that, when it was never something that we thought about in giving to the school and doing what we do. To know that I'm being recognized, I think is a tribute to not just me, but my entire family. And I think it's a tribute to the community, because without the community patronizing our restaurant, then we wouldn't have the means to help the high school. So again, it all works together. People I would like to thank, of course, is my family. My wife, Jocelyn, when I approached her about opening a restaurant in Denham Springs, she had no ties here. And she was very skeptical and scared and nervous. But she backed me 100% and basically built this restaurant to what it is today. My children, it's a family-run place. My daughters have all worked there, still work there. All the community. Big Mike's is not me. Big Mike's is the community of Denham Springs. Big Mike's is the meetings that we have there and the people that come there. If you take me out of the picture and they still come, the restaurant still thrives. The community is everything to it. It makes us who we are. So I can't thank the community of Denham Springs and everybody involved that's ever stepped foot in Big Mike's. I thank the Hall of Fame committee for even considering what we do worthy enough to be into the Hall of Fame. Just representing the O'Neill name, knowing that it goes back decades, is very, very important to me. And I pray and hope that after I'm gone, that my children and my grandchildren, it would give me great pride to look down one day and see them celebrating a 60th or 70th year anniversary and the O'Neill name still having something to do with the community of Denham Springs. I've lived in Arizona, California, and New Mexico, and Denham Springs is home, and I couldn't imagine living anywhere else because of the people, the resiliency, the camaraderie, the care. I can't say enough about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, very happy to present to you Big Mike O'Neill. Mike, I'm more than willing to give you the microphone if you want to finish up. All right, man. Mike, thank you for your undying support to Denham Springs High School. We appreciate you. Guys, let's have a hand for Mr. Johnny Lombardi for sticking with this technology tonight and getting us lined out. Thank you, Mr. Lombardi. And next up, we have the induction video for Max Sceroler.
And so I can remember, hearing stories, seeing pictures, and the time that I could walk, my parents had some type of ball in my hands, whether it be baseball, basketball, football, soccer, even a golf club. Coming from a family who has had such success in sports, it was just destined for me to play. I've had so many great coaches, family members, teammates, personal trainers, physical therapists that have played a massive role in my success. The two most important are obviously my mom and dad. From an early age, they taught me what it was like to be a competitor. You have some failure here and there. What do you need to do differently? What do you need to change about yourself on the field? Maybe even change some stuff off the field that you do. Another big mentor that I have is my Uncle Ben. Ben McDonald, he goes without saying, he is who he is for good reason. And having him as a mentor throughout my career was special to me, because as I look back on it, I can remember thinking whenever I was in high school or even in college, the goals that I set for myself and where I want to take my career, he's been there. We had a great group of guys, baseball and football, and we had playoff runs in football while I was here. We had playoff runs in baseball while I was here, and it's difficult for me to focus on one true memory that I have other than just my teammates and the friendships that I developed while I was here and the relationships that have carried all the way to this point in my life. My senior year, we made it to playoffs. We ended up playing a very good Dutchtown ball club. And it was a 3-game series, man. We went back and forth for 3 games, and ultimately they ended up beating us. But, the next day, me and my senior class, we drove up to the field and we hopped the fence. All the gates were locked, and we just went out there and we sat on the pitcher's mound for hours. And we just talked, we reminisced about all the good times that we had on that field with that group of guys. Senior year of football, we made it to playoffs. We had a good playoff run, and we all thought that it was a good idea to dye our hair jet black. So we dyed our hair jet black, and then we rolled with it all the way through the year, and in the playoffs, and walking around campus with jet black hair. It was clear who was on the football team. Let's just say that. My time at Denham Springs High School, as I reflect back on it, my career here might have been a little bit different than most. I wasn't that player that came in freshman year and was on varsity for 4 straight years. I had to earn that, and I had to make some changes within myself and my game on and off the field to get to where I wanted to be. 3 or 4 years later, you fast forward and I'm on varsity, pitching well, and everything started to kind of come together. And then same story for college. You get there as a freshman in college, and you go from being a big fish in a small pond to being a small fish in a big pond. And sitting there as a freshman in college, you're looking at all these upperclassmen, you're saying, man, I want to be there. What do I need to do? Take another step back, reassess what you're doing on the field, what you can improve on. And then I get the opportunity to go play pro ball, and I get drafted, and same story, just a different chapter. We're in spring training as rookies in our first year, and we see the big leaguers on the big league field practicing, pitching, doing what they do, and it's like, man, I want to get there. What do I need to do? rookie ball is another level. Then you have low A, high A, double A, triple A, and then big leagues. And with each step that you take, goes without saying, competition gets better. We were in big league camp. I got the invite to go to big league camp in 2021 with Baltimore. I did not have a spot on the roster, and I had to earn a spot on the 26-man roster. 40 players get invited to camp. They keep 26 of them and put them in the big leagues. So there were a lot of spots that were open and a lot of people that needed to be cut. And as the days and the weeks progressed in big league camp, they started making some cuts, and they were sending some kids back down to minor league camp, and I was staying. Well, they called me into the office a couple days before camp was going to be over, and our manager, Brandon Hyde up there, he told me that I had made the team and that I was about to, get your bags packed, we're going to Boston. I can remember the first phone call that I made was to my parents, and told them, and just overflowing with emotions on both ends of the phone, because, getting that call and being told those words, pack your bags, we're going to Fenway. That's what every kid wants to hear. It's truly tough to put into words the emotions that you feel, knowing that you've worked your whole life for this and that you have left everything on the field, and to have it all pay off, to have it all come together and be rewarded with something like that, it's super special. I was super proud. And throughout the course of my career, man, there were some times where I truly thought that it just might not happen. Whether it was an injury here or a bad year here, and there was definitely some doubts, but throughout all those doubts, I never gave up. And I always tried everything, went to the field every day and got the best that I could be to, continue to work towards that one goal. And my big league debut in Yankee Stadium, that's a lot of emotions. Opening up that bullpen gate, coming into the game, and you're just looking at Yankee Stadium as you're running into the field, and as you're running onto the field, it almost feels like you're floating. You can't feel your legs, and you're running, and everything just kind of blacks out. First batter I faced was Aaron Judge. It got back to competing and doing what I've been doing my whole life. And I can remember sitting in the dugout after I got out of that inning saying, I just did that. This is, for that moment right there, that's what I worked my whole entire life for. So it's definitely special. Having my number retired here and now being inducted into the Hall of Fame, it's tough to put into words how much it means to me. This is a community that my family has been in for 100 years. There's been a lot of my family members that have come through this community and come through these walls that have had a lot of success in sports. I have two uncles that are in the Hall of Fame, and with Uncle Ben McDonald and Uncle Michael, and to follow in their footsteps and get another person in the family of this status, it's definitely tough to put into words, but it does mean a lot. Yeah, well, I would like to thank first and foremost my mom and dad, my grandparents, all of my family, my wife, who's been with me since 2013. So me and my wife got together whenever we were in high school, and she was with me every step of the way through my career. So I definitely owe a lot to her as well. All the coaches that I've had throughout my career, all the teammates that I've had, personal trainers, physical therapists, I owe a lot to everybody out there. And there's so many people that have had a helping hand in my success and getting me here today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Max Sceroler. Congratulations, Mac. And next up, we have the induction video and interview with Mr. Randy Watson.
Okay, I got interested in sports back in the late 1950s, early 60s. Whenever I wasn't playing sports at that time, but my dad was a big LSU football fan, so me and my brother would sit around with him every Saturday night and listen to the LSU football games. And one of the inspiring moments I would say would be in 1959, I would have been 7 years old then. We were listening to the LSU Ole Miss game on Halloween night when Billy Cannon returned a punt for 89 yards and a touchdown. And just to see the excitement on my dad, I've never seen him celebrate like that in my life. From there, I played grade school football at Southside Elementary. And of course, me and my brother, you know, back then, we didn't have video games, we didn't have anything, so we went outside and played. I mean, we played football out in the front yard. I guess my first experience in organized sports was at Southside Elementary, where my football coach was Pete Clemon, and the assistant coach was Clarence Joe O'Neill. And they were the ones that first introduced organized sports to me. Obviously, middle school or junior high was involved in football, and then in my freshman year at Denham Springs High School was my first introduction to real organized sports. I remember guys, had the fortune to play with some of the greats, and actually guys that are in the Hall of Fame, the George Meadows, the Sam DiGirolamos, Grady Hornsby. All of those guys were been an underclassman. They were a huge inspiration to me. I wanted to be like them. Back then, you know, the sports wasn't as widely publicized or televised as it is today. So you didn't have that influence, you know, and you didn't have a YouTube video to teach you how to throw a baseball or dribble a basketball and stuff like that. You were just pretty much on your own. You had to inspire yourself. You just had to want to do it. Probably one that comes to mind is kind of funny. My senior year, when the yearbook came out, there was a picture of me stretching out in the end zone to catch a football. And the caption under the picture read, "Watson makes another spectacular catch." Well, I didn't make that catch. The only touchdown I ever scored was an interception returned for a touchdown, and I don't recall which game it was. Another incident that comes to mind was we were playing, I think this was my junior year, we were playing Walker. We won rather handedly, and what I remember about the game is Jim Beasley and Jimmy Tullis run up and down the field all night long. And I was running interference for Beasley on a in sweep, and I blocked my guy, and I was getting up off the ground. I could hear one of the coaches say something to a couple of the Walker players, and they just simply said, "Coach, we can't tackle these guys. We just cannot tackle them." And back in those days, if you played football, unless you were a skilled position player, like a quarterback, maybe a wide receiver, a running back, you played both ways. I mean, that's just what you did. And that made the team closer as far as offensively and defensively. And, you know, we worked as a team both ways, same people. And I think that's attributed to our success. In 1970, my senior year, we went undefeated, and I don't recall the exact stats, but I think we allowed like only 23, 26 points the whole year. It was just an amazing defensive effort. Being selected to the first team All-State defensive team was certainly an honor. It was a team effort that allowed that to happen. I mean, I appreciated the award, but it would not have happened without the amazing coaching staff and the other players that supported that effort. The town or city of Denham Springs, back in the day, and still is now, the support that the athletics get from the businesses, sponsorship, the fans, the Yellow Jacket Nation, it's just amazing. I mean, you know that it's from the heart, and on a Friday night on a football game, it's just amazing. The beginning of track season usually coincided with the end of football season, so that transition was pretty smooth. And it also helped that my track coach was also my defensive line coach in football, Coach Lloyd DeGeneres. In my freshman year, I never even thought about track and field. Knew what it was, knew there was running events and then field events, but I never even considered it. Well, Coach DeGeneres informed me that I was on the track team, and so that was how that started. And you know, obviously I was able to compete at a high level because of the teammates and the coaching and stuff like that. We never had a track to practice on. We were called the Cinderless Wonders. I think my 4 years, at least my 3 years there, we won district champions. And the patch on our letter jacket had Cinderless Wonders. So we practiced on dirt, grass. Just to be selected to the Denham Springs High School Athletic Hall of Fame is just to even be mentioned in the same breath as some of those great athletes before me. It's just amazing, and it's something that I'll cherish. It's a great fraternity, and I'm just so honored to be a part of it. The Grady Hornsby's, the George Meadows, the Sam DiGirolamo, Jim Beasley, Harvey Armstrong was my quarterback, and just to be a part of we were a team in a sport, and now we are a team in a fraternity of the Hall of Fame. Selection committee, of course, my former teammates, I'd like to thank, and especially the amazing coaching staff that I had back then. Even the cheerleaders, you know, they supported us, they cheered for us every game, wherever we were at. Last but not least, the Yellow Jacket Nation, the fans that came out on Friday nights and traveled wherever we played and supported us.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Fame member, Randy Watson. And to offer closing remarks, I'm honored to introduce Coach Brett Beard. Coach Beard likes to remind me often that he credits himself for saving my marriage, because when I was principal at Denham Springs High School, my wife was principal at Live Oak High School, where Coach Beard was the coach. And as luck would have it, we had a coaching opening, and why wouldn't I go for the best coach out there? And he was good enough to realize that would probably cause a divorce, and he put that off for another 3 years until I was no longer the principal. And thank you, Coach. It seems to have worked out pretty good for Miss Jones and myself. We're still together. But Coach Beard is our athletic director and head football coach. He came to us from successful head coaching stops at Live Oak, Woodlawn, and Bowling Green. He played SEC football at Vanderbilt before completing his career at Southeastern Louisiana University. He inherited a Yellow Jacket football program with a 1-9 record the previous year, and by his third year, he had led the Yellow Jackets to a 10-3 record and a quarterfinal playoff berth. In 5 seasons at Denham Springs High School, Coach Beard has been honored as Livingston Parish Coach of the Year twice, an outstanding individual, and he will offer closing remarks tonight. Coach.
I would still be at Live Oak if he hadn't gone to the school board. You know, if I did save his marriage. I did. It got ugly there for a little while. I was scared. You know, I can't tell you enough. I forget how amazing this night is, and it reminds me of the amazing place I really am at. And not a day goes by that, you know, especially being in the room with all the elites and the greats of Denham Springs, you know, not a day goes by that I don't think about, and I see these old videos of the old stadium, which I was perfectly content coming in to build the program in that old trash stadium. I'm not going to lie to you. But what we've built now are some of the best places in the state, if not the best. And it's built upon the same ground you all played on and dominated on. And not a day goes by that I don't appreciate everything that you poured in to what we're able to play on and coach on these days. And you know, our kids appreciate it, we appreciate it, and I can't thank you enough for everything that you all do for our programs and our school. You know, what an amazing night. You know, I want to thank Forest Grove again. They always do a heck of a job hosting. Coach Wax. You know, I get to go to work in his building every day and try to live up to that standard, which I freaking love the pressure of it. I always joke about the urinal being named after me. But Julie Jacobson, Laura Dunlap, John Lombardi, one of the best hire Kelly Jones ever made, other than Wes Howard, the principal. I don't want to forget that. You know, again, you know, to be here and see 5 amazing people with 5 amazing stories go in and give me chills watching those videos, and 2 of them are really good friends of mine that have done an amazing job supporting us. That, you know, quite frankly, we couldn't build the programs we want to build at this school without guys that have their hand in it, whether it be as players from the past to the financial side of things. And it means a lot to be able to look up and see your names in, you know, in our stadiums and our venues, because I know what it means to you, and I want you all to know that it means that much to give back to you. Because, you know, without you, we don't have what we have. And I'm going to tell you right now, you know, I hope I stand here a long time, because I do love Denham Springs, and I love being a part of this history. And, you know, can't thank Dr. Hood enough for all he does. You know, we really do want to build something that you're proud of. And because I know how proud you are of where you come from and what you've built. And I can't tell you, we work hard every day to give back to you, because we appreciate all you've done. Congratulations to the new inductees. Congratulations to all of you that are in already. Again, it's my privilege to stand in front of you as the head coach and athletic director that's building these facilities and building these programs. We've got probably the best coaching staff we've had here, I know, since I've been here. And really, pieces are starting to fall in place for us to have some magical moments and build upon what you left us. And with that, thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck tomorrow night, Coach, and good luck the rest of the season. We appreciate what you do representing Denham Springs on the football field. I want to thank all of you for being with us tonight. I think it was a great event, a great night to honor 5 fantastic people who were enshrined into the Hall of Fame tonight. I hope you're safe on the way home. But before we dismiss you, to close us out, we are going to have Ms. Lois Wax come forward and lead us in our school's alma mater. So if you guys would stand for our alma mater.
If you don't know the words or remember the words, words there on the last page of your bulletin. 2 measures.
Thank you. We'll see you guys next year.